So how do you think that your video went?
I think that those delays that didn't go well, I was able to edit certain things with the activity and technology. Took more time, but you cannot really tell in the video.
No, I didn't know at all.
Have you been able to watch it?
Yes, yes. And that's why I was like, yeah, you really can't. Like I did not pick up on any of the delays or anything like that. Like, so you did a good job editing them out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Only now I realize that no one will grade it for except for me. So all that hard work. So the
Yeah.
next video is the next week. I will see what I do for that one.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it's okay because you'll be able to at least compare your final video to this one. And so that's going to be something that it's neat to see the growth once you do that. Um,
So
but
what would be your, let me take a piece of paper and a pen. And do you have any recommendations for me based on the first baseline video?
yeah, so I struggled because it was a good one. And I thought that as far as like I loved how you greeted the students first of all. I thought that was amazing. So definitely continue to do that. And just check in with them and see, you can always do like a random question. Do you do like a bell ringer for them or do you just kind of
Not my style, to tell you the truth. Like do now thing,
kind of like,
entry.
yeah, like an entry, almost like an entry ticket, I guess.
eh, I sometimes just ask them questions about the last class, but it's like apply prior knowledge. I don't. I usually don't.
Okay. And if it's not
I
something you
think, sorry. Sometimes I do SEL entries, mood, small reflection. How are you feeling about that? Or self evaluation on the project versus the one that will take place at the end of the class or the next class. But tasks, rarely. Or maybe I can give them a free ride to create a context for the class or think, pair, share. But like, it's not, I'm not religious about that one.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. Like if you're finding that your students are transitioning into the class well and you're not having to redirect, it's probably not a super necessity. But it's something to kind of keep like on the back burner if you do start to have trouble.
Let me get a pen 1 second. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm so unprepared.
Oh, you're good.
Entry, entry. How did you call it?
Well, I call it a bell ringer, but I think I'm like one of the few that call it that. Some people call it like a warm up, or they'll call it like a entry ticket or something. So it just is anything along those lines. They're all used interchangeably, I think. So
Bell ringer. Yeah, no problem. Entry ticket.
yeah,
Yes, sure. Thank you. That's a good idea. Why not? It can be entertaining too.
it can be. Yeah, my students always loved it because I primarily taught like a lot of grammar. So I would do like a almost like a daily oral language where I'd write this sentence and it was grammatically incorrect and there was misspellings and the students got to fix it. So they loved it. It was just enjoyable to them. They thought it was funny. But
And
yeah,
I
you
have
can
a
always
list
make it.
of,
Yeah.
and if you do it unrelated to the class content, it's fine as well, right?
You could do that. It could be kind of a way to grab their attention. You could do like a check-in with their mood, or just something random that's fun that could kind of gain their attention. Yeah. I think you could take it either way and really have some fun with it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I already have a list of grammar issues that I found throughout diagnostic. So totally, I could do 10-minute warm up mini lessons
Yeah.
to get them on track and then transition to a different like a video warm up for the topic of the class for what to
Yeah,
expect.
absolutely. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So especially because you've got those ideas of what to work on now. So it's like, okay, yeah, you can kind of incorporate the grammar. You do that at the beginning and then segue into the literature. So yeah, absolutely.
And maybe even find an example of that use in that text, and that will it's going to be an introduction to, yeah.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, I like that. And then that way it connects the two. I like that.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth operator.
And now I'm gonna have that song in my head all day.
It's a good one.
It
What
is a
I'm
good one.
don't-
I definitely would be okay with that. It is a good song. um,
example in the text. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
So another thing I really liked was how you were supportive of your students and you showed them that like you wanted them to um use different tools to be able to benefit them, like the dictionary, I think, which is amazing. So many kids don't know how to use dictionary, so that's awesome. So I really liked that. And it seems like the students they're new to you, right? Because they really seem to connect with you.
I'm shocked. I expected different crowd. We have our presumptions and stereotypes, but I assumed that there would be more entitlement and more senioritis, and they are super sweet and very respectful. There is little to none classroom management. I'm shocked. They are wonderful. Their grammar and their knowledge, the speed of their operations, let's put it this way. Yeah, it stuck to me, the operator. They are slower than my Dominican students, and I do not know to what, like, they're, I do not know. Maybe it's cultural, maybe it's school specific. I think it might be school specific because this school has 90-minute blocks. And
Okay.
I think that both, I do not know why the school opts for that, because I think attention span of people is not designed that way. We both know how it feels by the end of the VC, like the last 10 minutes, they kind of are a little difficult for both the instructor and the crowd. Like everyone is ready already. So I feel like 50 minutes is a good amount of time for a lesson. So those 90, I feel like teachers tend to stuff their lessons with certain activities to just spend the time, and I'm not used to it either, and I feel like, so maybe that, but overall you're right. Kids are very supportive and welcoming. They bring food all the time. They ask questions. I see European kids talk to Asian kids knowing that they're shy, and they're like, "How are you? How was your weekend?" So the
Wow.
social dynamic is really nice.
That is amazing. That's wow. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for better. They were so sweet in the video, and they were, engaging and laughing, and, just it was nice. I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, that's great. And I mean, I think, having that and you're able to establish that rapport with them easily, you'll be able to pull them up as far as their level, pretty quickly. They're open to learn from you. And so that's good. So yeah. But it really, I mean, I thought it was a good baseline. And I think, like I said, you're gonna really enjoy comparing at the end. The bell ringer is the one thing that I would definitely incorporate for next time if you're able to. Um,
Hmm.
but I couldn't really see anything else that needed to be improved upon. I thought it was good. It was really good. So I could tell
I
you.
really tried. I looked at the rubric, I summarized the rubric for myself. It was next to me. I was writing a lesson plan, thinking what else to add, how else to, like what would be the cherry on top, what additional technology, found the transcribers. Oh, Max. So that is not very pleasant for PC users. So we should find something. So I really prepared. So it would have been strange if I prepared and have taken so much time and consideration and preparation, and it would have been a poor video. Like I appreciate it, but anything else? I know it's, time management is something that I probably should incorporate, and I'm not sure how to use that time. What I tend to, and it's something I will figure out as a teacher myself along the way, but Usually the class looks pretty much like that. Okay, let's say we have a 10-minute opener. Let's say we look at the opener and spend 5 more minutes discussing it to clarify. Let's say we do a smooth transition to an APK. Let's say it can be a video or a brief exchange. Let's say 5 more minutes. We're down 20 minutes. Vocab, warm up, a brief research, and before the instruction, 5, 10 more minutes, 30. Instruction, no, let's say 10, 15, 45. Then you run one activity and another activity, or you run one activity that is a whole leading to like a formative or summative, like additional tasks. So that's 45 minutes on activities. If you would come up with the idea on an efficient, effective structure, because also those activity, I know, yeah, sure, for baseline, for videos and clinical, I can do that and it will look good. But every single class, no, it's not feasible. There would be classes when you don't have this, unless you're teaching the same class over and over every year, you don't have to create a fresh planning and you already have your Pandora box full, then sure, then you can just pull something out of the sleeve every time. But if you would come up with suggestions how to use that time without boring kids, without, you know, creating this sense of fatigue towards the end of the class, because they tend to just alienate from the task, even if it's interactive.
Yes. It's block scheduling's tough. They're finally starting to move away from it here. It used to be like when I was in high school, we had block scheduling. We had 90-minute classes. And so it's tough, but I think there are some benefits in that you really can kind of be flexible with how you're approaching your activity. So say your students are um not quite grasping something, you've got some extra time to play with to really kind of go over that. I would um they always, is there like, I guess, homework for your class at all, or is it just kind of more their because what I used to do is I would kind of, get through my instruction, and I usually plan for about an hour's worth of instruction roughly. And then if I needed to take more time with that, great, I had that time. But then if I didn't, they could have some time to work on their homework. Um, and so that's kind of how I did it, and it worked out pretty well. Um, and I didn't really have to, and then that way the students weren't like overloaded with me packing the class full. Um, and they weren't as fatigued because they were like, "Oh, I'm getting my homework done before I go home." Like win-win, so it was motivating to them. Um, so that could be an option as well. It's just a plan for, and you could even stick with the 45 minutes to maybe an hour or so. I would say an hour. An hour is a good time because that way, like I said, if you have to take a little extra time on one activity or on your instruction, you've got that. And you don't have to feel like you have to rush through. So that's my how I did it anyway, because I did teach the block scheduling and that's what I did. But um,
It
just
sounds like the only option, to tell you the truth. Uh, Other than dancing and entertaining, you give the instruction, you apply together with them, then you let them apply on their own. Uh,
yeah.
I do not do the homework in that fashion, but I do have a calendar of formatives and summatives approaching. So they do know what's the expectation and the outcome. And if they choose not to pay attention on that, I also don't force them. Like if they're just distracting the rest of the class, I create certain structure, but sometimes they just start asking me personal questions and I use this as an opportunity. I'm like, okay guys, you're mature enough, you have 4 more days including the weekend, so if you prefer to work at home, and some kids are saying, "Miss, 15 minutes left, I'm distracted, I'm tired, I would rather do it at home. What are you doing? Where are you from? Tell me the story." And I don't see the reason why not to go with the flow in this case.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're okay, with that, and I
I
think,
will see how they turn in this the formative. I will see how that group of people who tends to kind of lose attention would self manage the with homework and quality. And if their work is poor, I will change my approach to those
Yeah.
easygoing endings.
Yeah. I think that's a good plan. And I mean, that way you kind of give them, you can kind of respond to them and their needs and just how they're doing things. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. And just kind of go from there. It's just like, yeah, the block scheduling. I mean, I guess it was I don't know. I don't really know what I just remember I doing it and then I actually taught it. And then now they've gotten away from it a lot. I don't really know that there are any schools in our county that do it anymore. Um, I don't really know what the benefit of it was, but I remember everybody just did it. So
It's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but at this point of the year, it feels like bonding with the kids will just give me more authority to next time tell them, okay, we're not talking now, we focus. Like there is time for everything. We talked that day, right now we're working. And if you never have that moment of sharing and throwing jokes and laughing and finding common interests, one student told me, Miss, you should entertain your son over the weekend. I said, absolutely, you're right, you have a point. Where would you think I should go with him? And he says, he Googles, shows me a screen of Google Images, tells here, and it's like an entertaining park. And I'm like, wow, interesting. It looks like my
Aw.
own personal hell. Because it's, it's yelling. It's yelling the pictures of it. It's so noisy. You can
Oh.
tell that it's just like the movie It. It's high concentration. Ooh. So
Oh
we
my god.
laughed and laughed and laughed, and I feel like that's it. Small joke and common sense of humor, and that's it. Sympathy.
Yeah. It's important. And I think and that's another thing that as time goes on, my students did this. Like my kids were like their kids too. They're like, "How's your baby? How blah, blah, blah." They just started getting really interested in like helping, like knowing my kids, helping me with them, and just so that they start to really bond, and it becomes like a whole big family.
Yeah,
That's what I've
yeah,
noticed.
yeah. Exactly. Little by little.
Yeah.
Melis, I don't want to take more of your time. If that's pretty much what it comes to, I appreciate it. And so sorry for being late. I hate being late.
Oh my goodness, you were fine. I totally understand. I'll stop recording.